Welcome guys to John's Football Channel. This is your preview to Crystal Palace versus Rayo Vallecano. This is a very, very good game and a very big game for these two teams. They're obviously playing the Conference League final. So let's get into this preview. But before then, I just want to go on with some news as to what's been happening around the world in terms of signings and whatever. We know that Jean Mourinho is very close in terms of finalizing the deal going into Real Madrid. We know that he has 2 years going into his contract for Real Madrid with a third option in order to see more or less if both parties can agree in order to get the last year on the contract. So that will be very good to see who he brings in, what he's able to do with the team that he's able to mold and get as well in terms of signings. Let me know down below, who do you guys think that Mourinho will be getting as his first player against with Real Madrid? Who do you think they actually really need right now in order to challenge for the title a lot more, or even to actually get there ahead of Barcelona? And then if we're looking at also with Enzo Maresca, we know that there's a bit of difficulty in terms of his chances to get into Man City. We know there's some legal stuff that's happening in terms of the lawyers for Chelsea going into this thing, because we know that he left on a 3-year contract, so he was still being able to have some length on his contract for 3 years. So now there's a question of how does that actually work? Who pays who? There's another thing of does Man City actually want to get anywhere near that? I suppose not. But if we do look at in terms of coaches and head coaches and managers, we know that Enzo is one of the main men who more or less are very, very fresh in terms of understanding the league right now, in terms of knowing a certain amount of players in the league, knowing their strengths and weaknesses. And he has coached under Pep before, so I would say that the philosophy is very, very similar. So probably hence why Man City are going for Enzo Maresca to become the new Man City manager or head coach. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Maresca can actually? Obviously, we know that Pep Guardiola has done very, very well for Man City, but is there a chance that Enzo, to some certain points, able to replicate what Pep has done at Man City? Is there a chance? That would be a very, very good question to actually see. Is that a possibility? Obviously, we know that Enzo doesn't have nowhere near the experience that Pep has. So obviously, does Man City allow him to actually build and actually develop himself at Man City and able to go for titles and trophies? Are they willing to sacrifice maybe the first 2 years, knowing that probably Enzo might need to gel and actually get a grip in terms of his full understanding as to the team he has, as well as know exactly how to get the best out of his players? We know that he's a decent manager, but obviously there's a reason why he didn't work out at Chelsea. Obviously there's some things that he can work on. But I suppose it would be easier for him to play at Man City, because we know that the likes of all the good players that they have right now at Man City, we know that it makes the manager's job a lot more easier. They just put the same lineup every day and let them to go and win the game for them. So yeah, I suppose it wouldn't be the worst signing in the world for Man City, but I do believe in a way it is a downgrade to what they already have. So anyway, let's take a look at and actually see what's going to be happening against for this preview for Crystal Palace versus Rayo Vallecano. So starting off, obviously they're playing at Red Bull Arena in Germany, in Leipzig. And then if we take a look at Rayo Vallecano's team and lineup, they go with Calvares as the goalkeeper, Abulu and Liga and Sis as the defense, with Calamara as a left back. And then in the CDMs positions, they got Lopez, Valentin as the CDMs. Then ahead of them, they went with Garcia, Ize, and Delbruf as the midfield. And then ahead of him, they went with Maleon as their striker. And then if you take a look at Crystal Palace's team, they're obviously going with Henderson in goal, Lacroix as the right centre back, and then they went Lacroix and Kevok as the other two centre backs. They're going with the back three, and then in the midfield they go with Munz as the left wing back, Watson and Kamura as the CDMs, and then Michael as the left back. And then in the midfield, ahead of them, they went with Pino and Saar, and then Mateta as their striker. If I look at these two teams, obviously, if you take a look at the age, Vallecano has obviously a lot more experience in terms of age, but I suppose Man City do have a decent side in terms of balance between age and youth. So I think in that aspect, Crystal Palace will be able to dominate them and actually probably have an upper advantage over Vallecano. And then if you take a look, obviously, if you had to analyze a bit more, obviously, we know Crystal Palace would love to take this opportunity to get Europa League, knowing that they have a decent side. They know they're able to build on what they already have. It's good money for them, I think, for both teams. It's not like Chelsea or Man City where this is a big thing. For us, it's not. Obviously, for these small teams, it is a very, very big thing in terms of getting extra money into their clubs. I suppose going into next season is just a question of, can they maintain it? Can they maintain playing in the Premier League as well as the Europa League, whoever wins it? We know that Man City, Crystal Palace hasn't done so well in the league this year. They finished 15th. Is it a question of can they? Obviously, they definitely after the season, they definitely need to find a way to get some new players in and rejuvenate this team in terms of quality, whether it's in the midfield or the defense as well, so that they can move up in terms of the Premier League rankings. So that they know if they need to rest some key players on a Thursday night for the Premier League, they know they can, and are able to play both league and the Europa League for next season. And we know that this is a very big thing for Vallecano. Obviously, in terms of finances, they haven't been doing well. In terms of the owner hasn't had a good relationship with the fans. So I suppose with the trophy, obviously it helps both parties come together a lot more easily after winning a trophy. And then if we look at another interesting stat, obviously, if Crystal Palace win the Conference League final, it would mean that for the first time ever that 3 English teams have won all major trophies in Europe. With the likes of obviously Aston Villa winning the Europa League, and then if depending on if Arsenal are able to win the Champions League as well, then obviously it will be a very good record and a nice thing to see. I think it will definitely highlight the levels of the Premier League. I think over the years, we haven't actually got to really see what the Premier League is really, really made of. But I think obviously with the finances of other countries, it's become a lot more easier for us to show what we're made out of and actually show the quality of what we actually have, and the dominance we have in terms of Europe. I think it's starting to show a lot more now, with us dominating majority of the European trophies. And then if we take a look at some form going into this game, obviously Vallecano has a bit more better form than Crystal Palace. Vallecano has 3 wins and 2 draws, while as Crystal Palace, they have 2 losses, 2 draws, and then 1 win. Crystal Palace's last win was coming at Shakhtar Donetsk. I think it was when they played this. I think it was the semis. So it just shows you that Crystal Palace has had some time since winning, going into winning form. So obviously in terms of form, Royal Vallecano has a upper advantage going into this game in this aspect. And then if you look at the two players that will be key, obviously Saul will be key for Crystal Palace, and then Mayo will be very key as well as for the striker for Vallecano to actually put a foothold in this game and actually able to get the win and actually get into Europa League. So yeah, obviously they played a decent side to actually get where they are now. Now it's just a question of tying the ribbon, actually get the last result to actually win the actual trophy. I mean, there's no point getting to a final if you're not going to win it. So both teams should be up for it going into this fixture. Then if we take a look, if we had to let me down below what you guys' scoreline predictions will be. But for this game, I know that it more or less weighs itself out. You suppose both teams are hungry for different reasons. But I do see, obviously, Crystal Palace. I think both teams will be cagey in the first half. I think, obviously, going to the second half, I think Crystal Palace will be able to show the dominance. I think in terms of stamina and able to take out, find the loose ends in terms of this team. We know that Crystal Palace are able to play on a different level than Rayo. So I think in the second half they'll be able to show their quality and as well as the endurance in terms of a game. I think that's where Crystal Palace will edge it. I think there's also a question of when both teams might have a chance to score. If Crystal Palace supposedly score first, I think it will play a bit more in the Rayo's, Vallecano's heads, that they know they've lost it, they know that they're not the dominant side. But obviously, if it's the other way around, Vallecano might say no. If they score first, Crystal Palace will know that they have the quality to actually get the next goal. But it's just a question of can they and will they. But I do think Crystal Palace will edge it going into this game. So for this game, I'm going to go with, I do see a 3-1. I think Crystal Palace will end up beating them 3-1 quite easily. And I think that's hence why Crystal Palace will be going into the Europa League next season. So yeah, guys, let me know down below what you guys think of this game. How do you see this game playing out? Who do you think most likely would have the upper advantage? Is there anything else that I might have missed that you would have liked to add? Please leave a like and comment down below what you guys think. And see you guys. Peace.